Mike Armstrong is in the Netherlands to cover this week's events. Mike.
Well, Colleen, this is the largest of 3 Canadian war cemeteries in the Netherlands. We're just outside the town of Groesbeek in the eastern part of the country. The German border is actually just 2.5 kilometers in that direction. This is the final resting place of 2,310 fallen Canadian soldiers. Their sacrifice will be remembered in a special ceremony here Friday, one of dozens and dozens of events that will be held across the country in the coming days. The Dutch are looking back at a painful chapter in their history. The Nazis rolled into the Netherlands in May of 1940 and occupied the country for 5 brutal years. More than 200,000 people were killed. About half were Jews murdered in the Holocaust. Others were civilians killed in bombings, executions, and famine.
Over the border, and our transport never paused.
It was primarily Canadian troops that swept north through the Netherlands in 1944 and 45, eventually forcing the German occupiers out. Close to 100,000 Canadians took part. Military historian David O'Keefe.
We have about 90% of Canada's army all in Holland by the end of the war. It is the biggest outlay we have ever had on a field of battle anywhere in our history.
Now, the last several months of the occupation are referred to as the Hunger Winter. Nazi forces cut off food and fuel to parts of the country, and about 20,000 Dutch died of starvation.
Soon grist will come to the mill.
When Canadian troops helped liberate and then feed the country, the next few months, happy ones, got a new name. The Dutch came to call it the Canadian Summer.
At the unloading point, food is quickly unshipped.
When the Canadians arrived, it was kind of a double-barrel thing. In other words, they liberated them from the tyranny of Nazi Germany, but more importantly, they liberated them from hunger, the very basic of human necessity, and that's what we brought them. It really was Canada's finest hour.
Welcome to the Netherlands.
Well, some of the people who were part of that finest hour are here again. The Canadian government has brought 23 veterans of the Second World War to the Netherlands, all right around 100 years old. They arrived at their hotel Thursday afternoon in Apeldoorn, a city Canadians liberated on April 17th, 1945.
Nice to have you here.
Nice to be here.
It's a very special moment to welcome them here. It's very special not only for me, for Apeldoorn, but for the whole country.
Over the next few days, we're going to look at how the liberation is being remembered by the people of this country, by the many Canadians who've come to visit, and by those veterans who've come back. We're actually going to get to speak to them on Saturday. Looking forward to that. Colleen?
Mike Armstrong in Groesbeek, Netherlands. Thanks, Mike.